Hey, welcome to For the Story, the podcast that knows that The Matrix is about coming out as a trans woman. I'm Ash.
And I'm Avery, and you know what? It kind of is, isn't it?
Yeah, the directors are trans.
Both of them. I think independently at separate times they did that too.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's actually secretly about.
Yeah, the Wachowski brothers are now the Wachowski sisters. Kind of cool. Yeah, good for them for being who they really are.
Yeah, but it's really funny because like people who hate trans people love The Matrix. It's like a very weird Venn diagram.
Wait, are you serious?
I mean, just like fucking terrible like libertarians who like want to talk about teenagers' genitals a lot.
Yeah, which is just such an odd concept. Like leave them alone. That's what I don't understand.
That kid's barely lethal.
Just leave people alone.
Leave him alone.
I don't understand the concept of trying to get in other people's business to that degree. It's like, just let them do their thing.
It's called becoming a parent, okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That could be true. I don't know. But, yeah. So we watched something different. We're finally getting this episode to you guys. A whole bunch of things got in our way. I hope you guys liked the mailbag episode. It was kind of a fun little exercise to go through and talk about some stuff that isn't necessarily movies.
Well, some of it was movies.
Yeah, some of it was movies. But it was like movie stuff that's next to movies too.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah. So but we watched, I keep wanting to call it a movie because this show honestly plays out a lot like it's a feature-length film. But we watched a show, it's a Netflix show called The End of the Fucking World.
Sure, it's based off of a graphic novel, so we're keeping the theme.
Yeah, I figured that out like after the fact, or something. I think it says in like the Netflix like description at the bottom. You know how it has like those 3 keywords on Netflix that like pertain, and I think one of them is graphic novel,
which is a weird. It doesn't seem like it really kind of plays to what it is in any capacity.
It's definitely a unique concept as far as being a graphic novel goes, and I didn't know that there were British graphic novels. I mean, I guess it makes sense that there would be.
Yeah,
but
it's one of these Netflix shows though that they're gonna make a season 2.
Oh, you think so?
It's already.
I would hope so,
production.
given that ending, which we shouldn't bring up yet. Oh, okay. Yeah. Really?
I
kind of would have. Yeah, it totally doesn't. I kind of would have liked the idea that they just wrapped it up. It almost seemed like, I don't know, they kind of did leave it on a question mark, but it seemed somewhat definitive at the end.
Pretty fucking definitive.
But, yeah. So I guess was it just popular enough to warrant that? It's probably what's going on.
I think so. Every show there pretty much gets it. Like there's always some kind of following. Oh, yeah. And I've disconnected.
I actually don't like that they're doing that. This seemed to have been wrapped up so nicely, and one of the most obtuse things was that ending, and that's something that we are definitely going to discuss. But it seemed like it should have been wrapped up more properly because the story seemed very self-contained. You know, it seemed to like it was going to burn out really fast. And that's kind of what happened. But overall, still a generally positive experience, I would say.
I was disconnected that entire time.
Oh, no.
It's okay. You just hear me saying shit.
All I was saying is a generally positive experience, and probably should have been wrapped up with a tight little bow at the end. Yeah. But
yeah, I mean, pretty fucking good. Before we get into that, let's talk our weekend movies.
Yeah, sure. I'm trying to think. Do you have any off the top of your head? Give me a second. I totally have forgotten what I've been watching.
Yeah. I think I mentioned it before. I've been watching a lot of The Guild. Have I lost you?
The what? Yeah, I lost you too.
The Guild?
Oh yeah, The Guild is actually pretty decent, right? I forgot it's all on Netflix now, so you can just watch that shit.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't know what happened to what really happened. I mean, I don't really know why it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's pretty out of nowhere. That seemed to. I mean, I know I personally completely had forgotten about it until I saw it on Netflix in my feed on Netflix, and I was like, huh. Go figure. I guess I could pick that up again.
Yeah. And then,
I saw the entirety of it once. I don't know if I need to go back.
Yeah. It's been like 5 or 6 years, so I'm like, yeah, I could do this.
Yeah. Why not? Give it a round 2.
Yeah, it's really solid. What else did I watch this week? I always have to look back. Yeah, I don't even remember.
Well, while you're thinking, I finally watched The Butterfly Effect 2.
Oh, idiot.
I did. I actually watched it. I watched it, and then I watched The Butterfly Effect 1, which has its problems, clearly. It's almost comedic moments that it tries to play off really seriously, but the first one is vastly superior.
Yeah, well, the second one's just we do the butterfly effect again, but worse.
The entire time I was thinking, because I expected it to be absolutely abysmally terrible, and it really wasn't quite as bad as I was expecting. It was more like just totally forgettable is really what it came down to.
Okay, can we talk about that first car crash though? Tell me you didn't know they were gonna die in a car crash when they were sitting on the beach.
So fucking obvious. Yeah, you like see the car, I think, really early on too. And it's like, if there's a car and it's shown that early on in a movie, it's gonna fucking crash. Especially a movie where the entire premise is that he goes back in time and adjusts the past. So
that was like what was effective about the first one, though, is like you kind of were in medias res a little bit more, where you're like, oh, this guy's got, so he's sad, and we're gonna find out like why he butterfly effects during his butterfly effect.
Exactly. I think a lot of it too. I think what made the first one better is that they show you his entire childhood, and they really show you these moments that he revisits later. And I don't think they do that at all in the second one. And it's a kind of a problem, and because it shows specific highlights of this kid's traumatic past, although he ends up being kind of a fine, normal adult, which is bizarre, even though like some terrible shit happens in his past. But hey, gotta push through.
Yeah, even if your life's shit, accept it.
Yeah, or like learn to live with it and move on. But he like gets into college and all these nice things. He has his mom's like old ass Honda. But that second movie,
love Honda.
It was like in the first one I'm talking about. Sorry, I didn't know if maybe we weren't on the same page. But yeah. So the second one, totally forgettable. You can completely skip it. Like there's no reason to watch it at all.
Really glad we didn't do a bonus episode.
So glad
about that.
There would have been so little to talk about. There was just nothing. It was totally devoid. It was like so just unbelievably fine.
Do you think that the butterfly effect is also very popular with people whose favorite movie is The Matrix?
Is what? The Matrix? Yeah. I remember I watched The Butterfly Effect when I was a pretty young guy, because I thought the idea, I think the concept is actually really cool, even though it has nothing scientific about it at all. Like there's just no realism to any somewhat degree. But I found that I liked the idea that you could go back and edit things in your past that were traumatic. But yeah, I could say, and I really liked The Matrix around the same time. So yeah, probably. I don't know. The 17-year-old kid demographic for movies like The Butterfly Effect and The Matrix is definitely blown out of proportion.
There's some people who just don't get over it.
Yeah, exactly.
You also saw a different kind of story. You went to a sportsman game.
I went, Sid and I both drove down to San Antonio, and we saw the San Antonio Spurs play. Yeah, Mills is my favorite player right now. Mills? What? I think his first name is Patty.
Patty Mills, you know who he used to play for? The Portland Trailblazers.
Really cool. There's your crossover. Yeah, he's good, man. He's like a little guy getting those threes too. He looks so small, especially next to Wade. Dwayne Wade, I think his name is, and Dwayne Wade is like really tall.
Yeah, he's like the ideal basketball height. He's like 6'6".
And Patty Mills, man, he was a little dude. I was like, I'm a pretty short dude too, so I was like, hell yeah, get in there, man.
I was expecting you to love DeMar DeRozan just because of the name.
Yeah, he does have a good name. DeMar DeRozan is a really good name. Yeah, he was in there getting it too, man. Spurs are good. They did lose, but that comeback in like the fourth quarter was pretty intense. Everyone was like on the edge of their seats. It was so cool, like going to an actual sports venue and seeing it in person. It like made me like it more. It was so like everybody was engaged, and like the people we were sitting around were all engaged. It was really, really a lot of fun. So we're definitely going back sometime. But
yeah, I've wanted to do for a while a basketball podcast called Bandwagon, where I just get someone who's never watched basketball, and each week they follow a different team, and we talk about their experience following that team, and then at the end of the year they decide who their favorite team is. That's pretty cool.
I would totally be willing to participate in that. I don't know a lot about the sport, but that almost kind of makes me probably a good option. I would totally be into that.
Yeah. It would be someone who doesn't know anything about it. Haley was like, no, don't. Yeah.
Like the thing is that I used to always like think I was interested in NFL because that's what everybody's into. It's like the most popular thing. But now I'm kind of like over it. It's just almost too much of a huge event. But seeing like basketball, which is also equally as popular. Well, I mean, like maybe not quite equally, but still very popular.
It's more international.
Yes, there's that too.
Really big in
China. And I think I like the fluidity of the plays. You know what I mean? Like football is very regimented, and you take a break in between each play. It's like almost like it's chess. Whereas basketball, it's all on the fly. Like they're thinking and they're playing on their toes, like literally and figuratively.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Which very compelling.
That one guy who wears the tutu.
Exactly.
You know what I'm talking about?
That guy specifically is what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Hassan Whiteside. Fuck you, Hassan White. This is a joke for like two people that listen to our podcast. Anyways, also been catching up on Arrested Development myself. Because I know the new season is coming out.
Oh, there's a new season coming out.
I'm pretty sure. Or Netflix is pushing it down my throat for no other reason.
Oh, okay. That could make sense. It's popping up in mine all the time, too. I know there was that 5th season that came out, like, I think last year. And I haven't even watched any of it, but I haven't heard very good things either. So,
I mean, it's just kind of played out, like that humor style is kind of played out and not modern anymore.
I think, honestly, do they get the same writers back? Is it...
I mean, the Russos aren't writing
so,
on it,
no. So that's I think, because that 4th season was pretty dicey too. The one that came out in like whatever it was, I think like 2012.
When they like literally couldn't shoot together.
Yeah, which is such a huge, enormous problem. And
they did a recut of it, and it's a lot better where they cut the stories together so they're not just one character at a time. Okay. And it's way
what?
better.
That must be what I saw then, because I was catching up on it a little bit, and I rewatched the 4th season, and I was like, wait, I've already seen all of these things happen. It was really confusing to me. So because I thought I was like, is this the new season or what's going on here? Because I've already seen these things, so that must have been what I saw. But maybe I'll go back and catch up on it. So.
Yeah, it's a solid show. It's like you don't even like the thing is it's a show that's kind of great just because you can either really pay attention to it and get all the jokes and all like the little subtleties to it, but also if you watch it kind of superficially, it's still good.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, my cat, dude. He's like banging on the door. Hold on. What? Just come in.
Avery is going to get his cat. His cat is named Cat or Kitty. A lot of people don't know this about Avery's cat, but at one point he actually murdered a small group of Serbian
None of that is true. I left my headphones on, by the way, so I heard literally all of that.
Okay.
All right.
Guess that happened.
Oh, yeah, that's staying in, too. I never murdered any pirates. None of that is true.
No, I said your cat
did.
Oh,
really? Oh,
yeah.
Maybe there's a part to this or side to this cat I never knew about. All right, buddy, come on, sit up here, be on the podcast, say something.
The secret lies.
God, people don't even believe I have a cat. He always gets stage fright as soon as he sits on my lap.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Avery's totally mentally sane and has a cat. Guys.
It's like a stuffed animal.
Safe. It's just a wet. Like shirt.
Why is it wet? That's so gross.
I don't know, just so the visual's worse.
Gross. Yeah. No, none of that's true. I really have a cat. I swear. See, you know how like when you say something and you're like, really, I do. It makes you sound even like less believable somehow.
No, well, I don't lie about having pets usually.
God. All right. Okay. Moving on. My cat's really here with us. Say something. Dude, just say something.
Your Honor, as you can see, my client is criminally insane and cannot be not be convicted of larceny.
So,
which is a mixture of arson and
larceny.
Arson.
Whoa, dude. God. Speaking of arson.
Sorry. He's not here, Your Honor. He's in Austin.
So moving forward, I do want to talk about The End of the Fucking World, which, by the way, is the movie show we watched. I'm going to keep calling it a movie show because this should have just been, I personally think, a feature-length film.
What do you think, sweetheart? You want to go to the picture show?
Exactly. The picture show.
Let's go to the... It was a picture
very
show.
Much so.
Very, man, there's a lot to talk, talk about. But let's talk first about our expectations for this show.
Yeah, totally. I guess I could start if that's cool with you.
Oh, it's
excellent.
So cool.
My expectations.
Your Honor, my client would like to speak.
Courtroom podcast. Did you like this movie? Adjourned. Anyway, my expectations. I had seen this come through my feed. I remember when it came out in whatever year it was, 2017, I think. And I was interested in it, and then I read the description. I was like, I'm not going to watch that. That's exactly what I did. But I do that about a lot of things. So I was probably wrong this time. I should have just watched it because it was pretty good. But off the gate, especially when you introduced it to me, the second time around reading this description, I was far more interested. So thank you for making me watch it because I probably wouldn't have on my own.
Dab.
Yeah. So what about you, Ash? What did you think? What were your expectations for this movie, show?
I first discovered this movie show right after I moved down to California, and I was having a night where I couldn't sleep. And it was like, 11:30, which is late for me. And I just started it. And then next thing I knew, it was like almost 3 a.m. and I finished it. I just couldn't stop fucking watching it. Which is like insane for me. I never do anything like that. I laughed, I cried, and then I ended up recommending it to my mother. And that's like the real test for me of like, okay, something that I like that also my mom likes, then it's like a good
That's like an objective test. I like that a lot.
Because like we have such different tastes in things. It's like when we both watched Black Panther and we both came out of it like, man, the costuming was great. That's like,
yeah,
cool.
that's a good sign.
Like a big deal.
That means that like bridging gaps, like totally different demographics can meet in the middle. But also you know your mom too, and you probably have similar tastes to a certain extent.
No, we.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, we super don't. But like I kept like walking in and checking on her watching it, and she was like, in the last episode she was crying like I was, and I'm like, yeah, this is great. Aww. This is a great show.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was really
not that it was great that my mom was crying. Just to clarify,
it did kind of sound like that's what you meant. Yeah, I started it, I think not last night but the night before. I got all the way up till like the second to last episode and totally just fell asleep. This happens to me a lot though. And so before we started recording today, I was like, I'm going to go back, just rewatch the last 2 episodes, totally get caught up. And it was pretty excellent. It really was pretty excellent. But yeah, so do you have any, like there's a lot of pros to talk about. I think our pros section is probably going to be pretty thick and deep. Is there anything off the bat you'd like to bring to the table? Because I'm sure we probably have.
Please don't describe anything on our podcast as thick and deep.
Deep pros section.
I know it's a Netflix show, and it makes me feel like it was very American, but simultaneously, like they got like that kind of like macabre indie tone.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Really well. I like their use of like the internal monologues because like basically our 2 lead characters both have 2 different like personality / mental disorders.
Yeah, very much.
She's like super borderline personality with like just very numb, depressive kind of feeling, and then he is he thinks he's a sociopath with like the homicidal tendencies, but he's more of just like kind of autistic.
Yeah.
Is that fair? I don't know how I'd describe him after he figures out
They're
he's
definitely troubled kids. And I think that them being troubled kids was like definitely a super big bonus for me to the show, because it reminded me, not that I was homicidal or a psychopath when I was in high school, but it reminded but it reminded me of when I was like 17 and just didn't know who I was. And so like seeing that but portrayed really effectively was a lot of fun. Obviously this is, like you said, very macabre, but kind of funny too. Like it's like a dark comedy kind of thing. Yeah. It's almost like the decisions that they make are so comically terrible. Like,
just even like they set it up with like when that girl walks up to him for the first time and she's like, "I've seen you skateboard. You're pretty shit." And he's just like, "Fuck off."
Like,
it's just like so British, and it's
so British. The accents were very thick.
Even the actor Alex Lawther. So if you can't see him, he looks like the child of Michael C. Hall and Jimmy Neutron's dad.
Is that which one did he play? Was that was the boy? That was James, right? Yeah, he definitely looks like those things. He looks very, he almost looked really familiar to me, and I couldn't like quite put my finger on it. Who exactly he looked like? He reminded me a little bit of the nerdy kid McLovin from Superbad.
He did have that body type,
like the very skinny with like the nerd face. He just had a nerd face.
Like a big head.
He had a big fucking head, and they even like.
That's why I think he's related to Jimmy Neutron.
Probably. Totally had a big fucking head.
Big pro.
Yeah, huge pro. So, there was a whole bunch of other stuff I really liked. The way it was edited was fantastic. I thought it was, I thought it was an odd choice to divide this up into, however, I think there's 8 episodes. That seemed a little unnecessary to me. I really almost wish they had smushed it all together as like a 2.5 hour feature length film. But I get the impression that Netflix either doesn't want to have a 2.5 hour long feature length film like on their list in their directory, or perhaps it seemed like an odd artistic choice to me. I don't know. It was edited like a movie. Everything was very cinematic. It did not look like a TV show.
I think that putting something out that was that long, like a 2-hour 40 movie, is like pretty ambitious for like very large companies. And it did have like that kind of feel of like when you finish a good drama TV show where you're like, I had a satisfying plot arc for all these characters. Well, basically just for the 2 leads. The other kind of minor characters, not so much.
Yeah.
Especially like the police officers, I didn't like.
Yeah, they were a little I think like it seemed like they had what could have been an interesting arc or storyline that kind of just wasn't fleshed out enough. It's almost like they put them in as an afterthought, because it's not even until halfway through the series that you meet those characters at all. And so it seems like they wanted to cram the one police officer kind of felt sympathetic for these 2 kids, and the other one was like, no, we're putting him in prison. Like, this kid's going to jail.
Yeah, so we should give like a little bit of a synopsis.
Sure.
Just because like it doesn't make sense. Why are these kids going to jail? What's going on? So Alyssa and James like start hanging out. James thinks he's gonna like kill someone, and
James thinks he's gonna kill Alyssa. That's his initial plan.
He thinks, she's his first kill, and he's gonna convince her that they're in love, and she like for some reason believes it, which is really weird because he just like sits there without moving his face while they're making out, and it's really weird. And she's like kind of a nymphomaniac and has borderline personality disorder, and she wants to find her dad because her new stepdad is like kind of trying to fuck her, and it's real weird. It's real weird. But she's also like, her mom's like totally been like pushed her out of her life because of this new husband, and like her old life is kind of no longer on the scene. They run away from home together.
Can we talk a bit about James' dad real quick? because his dad is actually a character that's brought up really early on. He doesn't have a strong arc in the least bit, but he does have like an almost unexpectedly nurturing side to him that James, for some reason, but just absolutely hates him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Especially once you figure out all of James's backstory. James kind of developed this personality disorder, whatever you want to call it, because he watched his mom like kill herself in front of him. And the father has come out of this as just this like, he's very understanding and just kind of like a cool guy.
Yeah, he seemed like a nice guy, and they kept saying that James' dad was a total prick, and I didn't understand why. I was like, this guy seems actually pretty all right. Like,
I mean, maybe they were inferring that maybe he seems a little fake about all of his kindness, just because.
Yeah, maybe trying to make the best of a bad situation, though. That's kind of the impression that I got for him. Like, his wife had died, and he was doing the best he could to take care of James. So I don't know. I didn't sympathize with that at all. He was kind of a dork, but that's really about it.
Yeah, I mean, he makes almost as many dad jokes as I do.
Exactly. So. The only time that I really got the impression that James' dad was legitimately an awful, or not an awful person, but not necessarily like totally morally congruent with James, was when he made the joke to Alyssa that James is probably gay. You know, or like, I thought he was gay this whole time, but I think he was just goofing off with him. Although that could totally be hurtful to like a 17-year-old kid who doesn't know who they are yet.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't say that about your son.
Shouldn't say that. So,
like, especially as a disparaging thing.
Especially like as they're like young and trying to figure out who they are. That can be very not the right thing to say.
Also, I don't know. Maybe don't make fun of your kid who watched his mom.
Yeah, like at all. I think I don't know. That's really the only time that I was like, this guy's kind of a douchebag. That's not a cool thing to say. But I got the impression that he was trying at the very least, you know.
But Alyssa was kick-ass in that situation. She's like, so what if he is?
Oh, totally. Which is the proper answer.
And she was, yeah. And then he just got fucking owned. He got owned by this fucking sassy woman who... did you have your subtitles on? Because she's fucking intelligible.
Yeah, I did watch the entire thing with subtitles per your recommendation. And very glad I did. I didn't miss any lines. It was great. I was really worried, especially once I heard their accents. I was like, if I didn't have subtitles on, I would have missed a lot of stuff. So, definitely pretty good.
But yeah, James and Alyssa like stow away at this house after they crash this car. And it's like an empty little McMansion in England. And
they just break in and just hang out in this guy's stuff. And James finds some interesting photographic work. Also a video camera of the owner of this house, with footage of the owner of this house torturing and murdering various women, which is like, it's actually a pretty shocking
revelation.
Yeah. So.
And then meanwhile, Alyssa's trying to bring some guy home to make James jealous because she like is the dumbest fucking character you've ever seen and doesn't get that James is just like sexually not interested.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of like sexual violence in this, which I think differentiates it from British TV, just from like the guy in the cafe who like tries to make James grab his dick, like just like weird stuff.
I think it was supposed to be kind of shocking.
Yeah, it definitely was. And like that kind of tones down over the course of the...
It does. It dials back a little bit.
Of the show.
There's some like pretty violent imagery too. A pervasive thing, especially leading up to what we're about to talk about, which is pretty much the defining event of the entire series. But there's these like spliced in images coupled with very shocking musical stings of James holding a knife and murdering Alyssa, and like he's fantasizing about it, and that those images transfer over to Alyssa in a sort of way after the big event of the series, basically. Which Ash, can you talk about this for us?
Oh yeah. Okay, so basically the owner comes home
of the McMansion, the big house,
and of the big house, and walks into the room where Alyssa's sleeping, closes the door, and proceeds to attempt to sexually assault her. And she's like crying, and he's like, "Oh, are you a virgin?" And then James just fucking stabs him in the neck. and he has this just like really visceral physical reaction where he like drops the knife and fumbles it down, and he realizes in that moment, you can tell like he did not actually want that as much as he thought. And she's just covered in blood, Carrie style, and they just end the episode on this stinger of him being like, I'm a virgin too, and she's like, yeah, no shit.
Which is so fucking good. I want to, this entire scene right here is probably my favorite part of the entire series. Fucking incredible. It's unexpected. It totally twists the entire series, but you think it's just two kids being goofballs, like running away from home, like they're
and then he's gonna kill her
and
later.
like, but you think like, oh, they're gonna fall in love and he's not gonna be able to do it, and they're gonna talk about it, and then it's gonna be some like gushy moment.
It's gonna be active communication.
But this totally twists the entire thing because now they're criminals on the run from the law. And so good
because they murdered someone in their own house.
So good. And like they make like silly mistakes when they're trying to clean up the blood, like he's stepping in it with his shoes, and like they're moving parts around. She leaves her wallet with her ID, which is like shown earlier when she tries to, I think the guy's name is like Topher or something like that. And she leaves her ID in the bedroom like 6 feet away from the body. Just like the biggest mistakes because they're kids who just killed someone and they're freaking out. So they eventually they split up after this because Alyssa can't even see this guy. She's like, oh my God, he just murdered someone in front of me. And she begins having flashes of seeing him stabbing this guy, similar to how James was seeing images of himself murdering Alyssa. So pretty interesting. Yeah, that part where he kills the guy, such a strong point. It really defined itself positively against everything else. I totally thought the beginning of this movie reminded me of, or this show reminded me of a movie called Youth and Revolt, starring Michael Cera and some other people I can't remember. It's about this kid who like he has to move out with his mom and his stepdad to this like town in the middle of nowhere. It's like a RV park, and he meets this girl and they start like breaking the law and stuff, and she ends up moving away or something, and he ends up breaking the law and getting arrested just to be back with her so he could lose his virginity. It's not an awesome movie, but it's okay enough. And so it reminded me of that.
I remember like the fucking poster for that movie.
It totally reminded me of that at first, and then once he kills the guy, it's like, oh, this is not like that anymore. So
and like they do something like they get real with it. Like when they separate, there's like the moment where the girl's like sleeping out in the public, and and like she starts to have her period.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That would fucking that was like a real weird dose of realism that I wasn't expecting.
I like those like injections of realism in what otherwise could have been portrayed as a like fantastical series of events, you know? It was just kind of grounded everything really well. And then like even like when she gets like stopped for shoplifting and like she's like, I'm not going to sleep with you, blah, 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 to the security officer. Like, ugh. Like, I have a wife, like, and kids. Because if you think about it, that was her experience with like adult men, probably for most of her mature life, you know, and she was just sexually assaulted the day before. Like, of course she's going to think something like that, because the security officer at the place she shoplifts from, like, closes her in a room. She's like, absolutely not. I'm not going to do this. And he's like, what? But he was just a nice, normal guy, you know? So not a fucking predator like everyone else in her life, except for James, who sort of is a predator, just a murderer. So there's portions of this show now that the climax of the show has really happened, that they're on the run from the law. They like jokingly rob not jokingly, they literally rob a gas station. which is a great scene with like the gas station attendant named Frodo. He's like, I'm going to come with you guys. And they bail on him and he's left to pick up the pieces. And like they kind of do some shitty stuff.
Yeah, no, they're not good people. They're like two very mentally ill people.
And the way that they like justify and they get over these things that they've done is almost like shocking, because you think like they're kids, you know, and they've done terrible shit, but they don't have a next step planned. Do you know what I mean? They're like, we're just going to be on the run forever.
They kind of do. They kind of want to go meet with her father.
Yes, that's a big thing, because Alyssa's father has been separated from the picture for many years, and they want to go.
She kind of fetishizes him in a way. Like,
I think so too.
And it kind of all comes like, because he turns out to not quite be who she expected.
Which is like normal. I figure that makes a lot of sense, you know. So she had a very grandiose vision of who her father actually was. But basically their goal is they're like, we're going to go find my dad. He'll know what to do. So, and that ends up being kind of a bad idea. It turns out her dad lives in an RV, is dealing drugs, and is kind of an idiot.
And in kind of a beautiful moment, like she realizes that all of the birthday cards that she ever got that she thought were from her dad were actually from her mom, which is kind of sweet. Kind of shows that she's trapped in this relationship with the douchey stepdad too.
Yeah, exactly. Which is and
the dad seems like he's going to sell them out to the cops too towards the end.
Piece of
he does. Shit. He's like a real bad guy.
It's like, she finds out that he has another son with a different woman, which is like, and he was lying about this other kid, and just like some skeevy stuff. Like he storms off from like the pub that they go to and kills a dog with his truck. Doesn't even realize he did it. And when when Alyssa and James tell him, he starts like laughing. It's like, you're a piece of shit. Like, that guy's a piece of
fucking
shit.
Garbage guy.
And then is going to sell out his own daughter for the monetary reward. I don't. Did they say? I can't even remember now.
I feel like it wasn't like an impressive amount
probably,
of money.
Yeah, like $600 or something, or 600 pounds. Yeah, it's like something that's not worth it.
Done it for 3.
But it's pretty fucked up.
Bad guy.
So this is the point when the cops, sympathizer lady and balls to the wall, he's going to prison lady. First of all, the sympathy lady gets to the RV. She's listening in to them arguing with Alyssa's father. His name is Leslie, I think, which is an odd name for a man, but who am I to judge, I guess.
It's my great uncle's name, piece of shit.
I had no way of knowing that.
Leslie Turner.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
He killed Nazis, you garbage.
What, really?
Garbage
Holy
man.
shit, really? That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
The sympathy cop, she comes in and she's just like, guys, seriously, we can help you out. You're probably mentally ill. You're doing crazy shit. We have all of this evidence against you. Just come with us and it'll be over. You can't just run forever. And Alyssa takes her father's shotgun and knocks this lady out across the head, which is like my favorite moment besides the murder of like this entire series. And they're running. The show ends with cut to black, and then you hear a gunshot as James is running out into like a dry lake bed.
Yeah, he like totally. It's like a self-sacrifice moment for Alyssa in like his weird way, showing that he cares about her. It made me cry. It was really sad.
I think it was really sad too, because she's like, "Oh my God, James, what are you doing?" And he's like, "I don't want this to be about you. It's all my fault. I drug you into this," which isn't necessarily true. They both had a hand in it, but he wants to be self-sacrificial.
No, like it wasn't him who was like, "Let's take this house."
Yeah, that's true. They definitely worked together on this one. But yeah,
it's kind of a Bonnie and Clyde type thing, but with psycho people
and children. I thought it was cute.
Yeah. Yeah,
I honestly do.
It was adorable how they murdered that. Well, you know, all rapists should be murdered.
Yeah, seriously. I agree completely. But
so, I feel like he should have been much more happy about that, because it's like that's like it's not like it was a questionable person that he should have killed. It was
This guy's
like,
actually a piece
this
of
guy's
shit.
like super.
I honestly
bad
think
guy.
that's probably why they got over it so quickly, because they were like, this guy sucks. Like, and also they were kind of morally, I don't want to say inept necessarily, but some other strong things about this show besides honestly the really excellent writing. It's all really, really well done. It's really well paced. The soundtrack is really good.
Lee Pace. Soundtrack's idea.
Oh,
it's just more indie nonsense.
I think it's very fitting for people of that age, though. So I thought it worked. It was also a lot of American music, I noticed, which is very strange to me. I was like waiting for like some modern cover of Hey Jude or something lame like that, and none of that really ever happened. So that's good. Yeah. This whole movie is a great, not necessarily a period piece, but a great representation of angsty teenage kids doing crazy shit.
It felt very 90s.
Yeah,
right?
it did. It's never really very clear when this takes place. But they have like Blackberries and stuff. So I would say like 10 years ago, probably.
They all have Palm Pilots.
Yeah, exactly. They all have, I wanted to say they all have Chia Pets. I don't know why.
I love the scene where Alyssa just pulls out her Furby.
Right. This is my favorite thing, said nobody ever about a Furby.
This is my favorite demon.
Yeah. Dude, those things were horrible, and like they would like talk all night, and if like when the batteries started to die, they did that thing where like they aren't getting enough power, so the voice becomes like really deep and like it was fucking terrible. Yep. There you go. Do you have any other pros about this, or can we move into our cons section?
Let's move into our cons. Con!
The only con I really have, well, I have two. And the first one's not really a con. The first one is the thickness of their British accents. I get that that's not really anything that they can necessarily control. It was a little off-putting at first, but I got used to it as the show went on.
I can't really say that was a con for me. I love British accents.
That makes one of us.
I like the thicker the better. Did you ever watch Misfits?
No, I never watched that.
Okay, there's this one character who's like a chav, or like the white trash of England, and she fucking had to like she has the thickest fucking accent, and you can't even fucking understand what the fuck she's saying, and it's just like I'm like, oh god, I love it. Like I just want to know, know that it's English, but not
understand
be able
it.
To understand.
It's
or
almost like it's a different language. Like
saying.
when Scottish or Irish people talk with really thick accents, it's like it's almost like they're speaking.
You know, Avery, fuck the Irish.
Why? Why?
I find them very attractive, Avery. I'm sorry, not personal.
Oh, yikes.
Yikes.
Okay. So yeah. The accents, I mean, it's not really a huge con, I guess. It's hard to call it a con. It's just not. It was a little off-putting at first and hard to listen to. But I mean, I'm glad I had the subtitles on. You know, it's a little frustrating that it almost necessitates the subtitles being on, but even that isn't really a big deal.
That's unfortunate. And because it's very much like, I don't know, like, it's weird just because it is like, it's Netflix. It's a super American show. Like, they don't do sexual violence in British TV. Like, that's one of their things.
Okay.
They don't like to show sexual violence. They like to show like sex, like normal, like their whole mentality about like rating systems is like, we show like loving consensual sex and we show less like violent sex stuff. Okay. And in America, like, have you ever seen, God, this film is not yet rated, the documentary?
No, I haven't. Is it good?
No, it's really good. It's all about ratings. And one of the interesting points they bring up is that like American movies have like inferred like sexual violence in PG-13 movies.
Oh yeah.
But like loving sexual stuff makes a movie R, and in Britain it's kind
Flipped.
of the contrary. Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like I totally get that. I like that. That is interesting that you bring that up. I remember,
which is why this doesn't feel British. Is the point I was making.
There's a lot of like American films from, especially in the 80s. This was a big problem where you would have like a villain in an action movie and his henchmen, and the only way you knew that they were evil is because they raped one of the protagonists. And it was like really horrific, and I'm glad that it's a trend that stopped, because it was a big problem in a lot of movies for a while, up until like the 90s. And they were like, maybe the sexual violence, we should tone it down just a little bit, because people can be evil without doing that, and without almost like glamorizing it to an extent, you know?
Yeah, because, like, you know, there is always a feeling when you watch a movie that you want to be compelled by both the villain and the hero. And, like, you don't want to make the villain, like, have such, like, a terrible, terrible personality trait. I don't know. It's just, like personality trait. That's not... Okay. Sexual assault is not a personality trait.
Not at all. Yeah. But, like, it's like, think about how cheesy and bad it would have been if Thanos was also a rapist. Wouldn't that just be like he would just be deplorable and completely devoid of any respect? But the thing that was so good about a villain like Thanos is that you kind of understood where he was coming from, you know? So if you could do that, I think you make a much more compelling character than just this guy commits heinous acts of sexual assault. That's why he's evil. But it is interesting, and I think it's really cool to see the way it's portrayed in this, because it's a lot more realistic, and which can be a good thing and a bad thing. But the way it kind of almost like meditates a little bit on the concept of the effect that sexual assault like that has on somebody that's like 17 years old. And I thought that was a good, strong point for it.
Yeah. I think it was really great, but cons.
Yeah,
we're doing
cons
now.
My other con that I have for this movie is that ending. Not my favorite at all. I think it would have been a little bit better if they had like a more creative way to end it, rather than he's running away, it cuts to black, and then you hear a gunshot. That's really cheesy. And like, that's the kind of thing that you see in like student films, like fade to black with a gunshot. Yeah. It's like, okay, like I see that you're trying to leave it a little bit on a cliffhanger, but a more satisfying, fulfilling ending would have been good. And now that I know that you think that they're going to be doing they're doing a season 2.
Yeah, it's coming out.
That strikes me as completely unnecessary and really undercuts the entire meaning of that ending, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you could even just show them shooting the gun and have a shot of them shooting the gun without showing if it hits. Like, that's even more effective.
I think that probably would have been better. But just seeing him running, and I think his last line is, I had just turned 18 and I finally understand how people are. And if you saw him die, that would have been kind of compelling too. Like, it would have wrapped it up completely. Yeah. But the thing is that we live in that culture nowadays where they gotta make a sequel. There's gotta be a number 2,
So not necessary.
Yeah, for a show like this, it's like the story, like I said earlier, it's going to burn out bright, you know? It's going to burn bright and then fizzle and just like be done. And you can wrap it up with a nice bow and the show's over. You don't need to sequelize this to death. But they're going to do it.
No. And like, I just...
Yeah. So I'm going to watch the second season.
Yeah, it's definitely intriguing, but I don't have high hopes. Second watch, I told you before we started, I was not as big of a fan. The pacing is pretty droll.
You think so? I was kind of taken by the pacing. I thought it was...
The pacing is really great the first watch. Second watch, I'm just like... It's kind of like... Because the beats are so... Like, if you think about the plot point beats... They're really big. Okay. And even 8 episodes feels like a lot.
Okay. I could see it there.
So it kind of drugged.
Do you think that kind of has something to do with the fact that you knew what was going to happen throughout the series?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. Because because like those big beats really make the show, and they have a lot of payoff the first time you watch them because the pacing is so, in my opinion, kind of slow, and it's very like indie movie.
I definitely got that impression
nonsense.
too. I agree with you completely.
And so like once you know what those big beats are, like the build up doesn't give as much for you.
Yeah, okay. So not a rewatcher. I can agree with you there. I feel like I probably wouldn't seek this again. A lot of my enjoyment from this show kind of came simply from the unexpected twists, you know? And if you're expecting them, it's probably not as enjoyable of a watch. I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Do we have any other cons? I mean, like, that's really all I could think of. I liked most of this show a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the costuming was kind of meh.
Yeah, but they were just supposed to be dressed like kids. But I kind of see what you mean. It didn't really stand out.
I don't need that kid to be this shirtless all the time.
Yeah, there was a lot of shirtlessness of that very skinny child. On like...
That boy is like 25.
What? Really? Holy shit.
Yeah. No, he's 22.
Okay. It's a little more understandable.
Born in 95. She's 25.
Oh, weird. They definitely cast it well.
July 21st, 92. Yeah. They look young. She was also in The Lobster.
Oh, you know what? I never saw The Lobster.
I haven't either. But
Yeah, me too. I remember when it came out, and it was in like indie theaters all over town. So, all right. Well, if that's it for our... God damn it, cat. If that's it for our cons section, let's get into some ratings, some numbers, some words. You know, the thing that we do at the end of the show. What do you think, Ash?
I think that sounds like the thing that we do at the end of this thing.
Yes. If you guys haven't listened to us before, we like to give a nice little presentation at the end of the podcast, giving it a rating. We talk about whether or not we would recommend it, and we give it 5 words that kind of encapsulate the entirety of the show.
Yeah. And this is, I'm happy we finally got through like a whole story arc of a TV show. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
You were like, you know, you've gone along with some Good Place, some Daredevil, but now it's like, yeah, you've seen all there is to see of the show thus
which
far.
I think is good. The arcs were definitely very satisfying. It ended on such a question mark that irritated me. Like, that was not a great way to finish off the show, but that's how it goes.
No, it wasn't. Of course, like, especially, it's just so obvious what they're doing, because, like, let's face it, we've seen worse in this show. He stabbed someone in the neck, and you saw the blood pour out of him to, like, bad opera music or something. Like, that's kind of the shit that's in this movie.
Yeah, totally. But it's kind of, I guess they really just wanted to leave it open so they could make a sequel. That's like got to be what it was.
Yeah.
Which feels a little exploitative.
I'm horrified. I'm horrified with some of my single season shows I really love.
Yep. Well, we'll see what happens.
Stranger Things. You see the commercial for it? It looks like a season of Stranger Things.
I don't even know if I'm excited for that anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm glad they're not doing Halloween again.
Oh, man, right? Well, yeah, so Ash, if you had to give this show, movie, whatever you want to call it, 5 words.
Shoovie.
Yeah, it is a Shoovie.
Mo.
It's a Shoovie. It's right in between. But yeah, what would you what 5 words?
You done a Shoovie before?
Yeah. There you go. Is that your 5 words? Or
That's
you've done a Shoovie before? Oh, that's 6. Never mind. God damn it.
Oi, you done a Shoovie? No, I'm going to do end of the fucking world. No, that's a very you answer.
What do you think?
Those were my 5 words.
Oh, they were?
End of the fucking world. Yeah. I thought it was not that great the second time through. I don't know if I could describe 100% why, but it just wasn't. This is a great first watch. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend seeing it. It's got some great acting. It's got some really great, plot beats. It's a little intense. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone who's dealt with sexual assault, because this may be triggering.
I could agree completely.
It's a lot of it. If that's something you've gone through, it's a trauma you can't quite deal with. Big content warning stamped on this show. Kind of intense. They took a show that to me sounded like Kid Dexter to it sounded like young Sheldon to the Big Bang Theory.
Dexter. I thought the same thing. Maybe that's why I didn't want to watch it the first time. I was like, that sounds dumb.
Yeah, but it goes in a completely different direction. It is fun. It's very teenage. It's like the best part of indie films. Kind of 500 Days of Summer meets Chucky. I don't know.
500 Days of Summer meets Dexter, really. If you had to slam two things together to describe this show, that's about the closest you can get.
You got your Dexter in my 500 Days of Summer. You got your 500 Days of Summer in my Dexter.
Exactly.
Anyway, I give this show a 7 out of 10.
I think that's totally fair. Excellent. So for me on my end, my 5 words are: do we have British listeners? I actually don't know if we do or not. I think it says on our statistics, but if we do, send us an email, by the way, forthestorypodcast@gmail.com. And as far as this movie goes, or this show, I want to keep calling it a movie. That's a con. I'm going to retroactively put that in the cons. I'm definitely going to recommend it to anybody. You said you didn't like it on the second watch. I only saw it once through, so I can't testify to whether or not it's good on a second watch, but I'm going to take your word for it. But I'm going to say, if you haven't seen it yet, it's right on Netflix, so watch it. And it's definitely compelling enough. It's going to draw you all the way through the show. You're going to watch it all the way through.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh yeah. It's built to binge.
Very much so. The storyline is all continuous. It doesn't really have an episodic feel even a little bit, because sometimes you get those shows where the storyline is continuous, but it has episodes dealing with different things. Not like that at all. It plays straight through. So it's gonna pull you in. Good. And if I had to rate this out of 10, I might be jaded because, Ash, like you said, you watched it twice. I'm gonna give this show an 8 out of 10. I think it's strong, very enjoyable. I liked it. Shocking at times, aggressive and realistic. And I think that is it's kind of what I look for in something that's gonna pull me in, and I'm not gonna want to change it. It's definitely enjoyable to me. So yeah.
And the short episodes also make it feel like you're not doing a whole lot when you're watching it.
Almost weirdly short episodes. They're only 20 minutes long. Yeah.
Yeah, because once you cut out all the intro outro stuff, they're 23 minutes and then they become 20 minutes.
And it's such an odd choice for them to divide this up the way they did. I don't know if it's to make it into more potable chunks. Perhaps it seems like almost unnecessary.
It feels like almost if you don't binge it, it wouldn't be as good.
Yeah, I think I can definitely. You know what? I agree with you on that, because that's pretty much what I did. I rewatched the last 2 episodes and the momentum kind of dropped off a little bit, and I found the last 2 were a little underwhelming. Yeah, I mean, this should have just been a feature-length movie. There's stuff that they could have trimmed, and they could have dialed it down to 2 hours, maybe 2 hours and 10 minutes. Pull out 30 minutes of content. Easily could have done that, and presented a 2 hour 10-minute Netflix original film. I don't know if the reason they made it episodic was to promote the idea that it could have a sequel. I think that's what it was.
I think it's just I think 2017, I think is they were less doing the movies. 2018 is when they really got into the movies. So I think they were still going with the, hey, we make the binge stuff.
That could be it. And also, Netflix movies don't really have the best reputation always either. So maybe they thought people were going to avoid it if they didn't make it an episodic series.
Which they should just do. They should make documentaries and then TV shows.
Feature length,
make movies.
Character-driven films aren't necessarily their strong point. There have been some really good ones, but there's been some pretty underwhelming ones too. So I think that this show kind of hit right in the middle, where it's a bingeable show that could have been a movie, that I think should have been a movie, but they didn't go in that direction, and it worked out, I think, in their favor probably this time. It probably drew more people to watch it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll do. I don't know what they're gonna fucking do with this show.
Right?
Okay. Let's give bad theories on how this next season's.
I think James gets shot but isn't dead.
I think it's that, but he's fucking paraplegic.
Oh my god, that'd be terrible. That would be so bad.
And then she falls for like another psychopathic guy.
No, I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think they're gonna drop James from the show. I think.
No, I think that he's still gonna be in the show, but he's gonna be like in rehab, trying to learn how to walk. She's gonna be like, I'm fucking bored of ya, and then just like find another guy, and then
the only fight.
And then he's going to murder the other guy, and then she's going to realize she loved him the whole time.
The only thing I could think of that they would do is that James gets shot, but he's not dead. They both get put into prison, and then they escape somehow, and they're on the run again. Because the best parts of that show were when they were on the run.
Oh, I can see totally just a bunch of scenes where like she's talking to him through like
oh my god, that's totally what's going to happen. Or like they're sending each other letters. Oh my god, that's totally what's going to happen. It's going to be something like that, I think. Because it's like you even see at the end of that last episode, all the cops, there's like 50 cops that surrounds them, and like a SWAT team shoots him down. So yeah, I don't know. I think it would be pretty lame if like he gets shot and dies, and then it's just about her from there on out. I think that they work better as a duo.
Well, she was actually it started out as a short film called TEOFTW.
What is this? What?
It was done for. That was the original The End of the Fucking World. It was just the acronym.
Okay, I see.
And that came out in 2014, and it was like a TV short. And they used Jessica Barden, the actress who played Alyssa.
Oh, really? And they brought her back for a revival. That's interesting. That like never happens. That's really weird.
So that's what I think, that they're going to keep one of them, and they're going to keep her.
And maybe James is done, and she's still like off. But that really shifts the focus of the show just on her in a way that I think it wouldn't be bad necessarily, but I don't think it would. I don't like it.
Because they played off each other's
totally exactly, well. And a lot of the humor and a lot of the more memorable moments are when like they're standing side by side, and like James will say something, and then his monologue will say something like, "That's not how it was," and then she'll do the exact same thing. You know what I mean?
They'll be like, "That's exactly how
exactly."
It is. Like they have such different trains of thought that they both kind of come to the same place. I don't know. This I'd say that also this TV show doesn't know if it's a comedy, a drama, or like action adventure Goonies.
Yeah,
style
I think
thing.
it's really interesting because in the beginning it really seems like it's going to be one of those like adventure. They're on the run, but they're not. Like it's just from harmless things like their parents, getting back, and almost like. Have you ever seen Moonrise Kingdom? Yeah,
I have seen Moonrise Kingdom. It also kind of it has the aesthetic of what's that one Seth Rogen movie, like the 90s.
I don't know. Seth Rogen.
What's the name? Or no, maybe it was Jonah Hill.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know which one you mean.
What's the one he just wrote?
Oh, mid-90s?
Yeah. Mid-90s. Yeah, it kind of had that aesthetic.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I could see that. I never saw mid-90s, but I saw like the ads for it. I guess I could see that. It's just like I don't know. It went a very somber direction really quickly, and it could have been like a fun, lighthearted adventure. Even with the murder, they almost could have played it up in a fantastical way, and like had like they're on the run but they're in love type thing, which is kind of what they did. But then like the results get really dark really fast, and it's like it definitely goes from being a part comedy to just straight up drama towards the end. So it's a hard say. It is kind of like tonally incongruent in places, but I guess we'll see what happens with season 2. Is there another graphic novel, or is there just the one and they're they're kind of going off the cuff now.
Well, if I had read it, I would know like if it's like that's the whole self-contained story, but I haven't.
Yeah, interesting. I'll look into it. We'll definitely drop a review for it at some point whenever it comes out. I think that's fair to assume.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what. But yeah, no, everyone fucking loved it.
And I remember it being well received, and I still was like, I don't want to watch it.
98 on Rotten Tomatoes. That's pretty incredible.
That's almost, I don't think it's quite that good. It's definitely really good, but I don't know if it's a 98. So.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think that's what we got for you guys. Thanks for listening to us, even though we totally had to restart the recording. It's all good. Yeah, it's what happens. Yeah. But hey guys, thank you so much. This has been For the Story. Send us an email, forthestorypodcast@gmail.com. I almost forgot it for a second there. Did you hear that? I've been saying it so many times in the past couple of days. I don't know how that's even possible, but, yeah, send us an email if you have any questions. We are shifting back to a more normal schedule. We had some weird stuff going on. Busy people, that's how it goes.
We got the next two films we're watching Get Out, and we're watching Us. We're doing a Jordan Peele double.
I think we're splitting it up this time. Yeah, we're going to split it up this time.
No, we're not. We're not watching Split again, dude. It's Get Out,
Split,
and Us.
No, yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Wow. So you think M. Night Shyamalan and Jordan Peele look the same?
That's not
racist. Your Honor.
They fit into, oddly enough, they fit into a really similar niche. If Us is good, then it's going to be interesting because Jordan Peele.
It's not going to be good.
I don't know. I think it might be all right, but I think he took 20 years to write Get Out and took like a year and a half to write. You might be right.
Us.
Jordan Peele kind of makes me think that he seems to fit into a very similar M. Night Shyamalan type niche right now.
Maybe I don't. It's for me. Whenever these comedians fucking make the crossover to doing serious ass shit, I'm like, okay, so much fucking respect.
It's a bold choice. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of respect. It's
like when Steve Carell went serious. I'm like, it hasn't been the greatest just because casting directors are garbage, but he's great. Really like, I like him in serious roles.
He's just a pretty good actor overall. I think he's enjoyable to watch.
What's the one where his face is on pancakes?
I forget the name of that movie, but I remember it. And he drove that little red Mercedes around everywhere. Am I thinking of the right one?
Yeah, it's like Johnny Pancake Face.
I don't know what it is, but I know what you're talking about. But yeah.
Pancake Face is my favorite slasher villain.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for listening, guys. We'll see you guys next week for Get Out. And then I think 2 days later, I'm pretty sure I think we're doing a Tuesday, Thursday type deal.
Jesus.
We'll see you for Us as well. I got to watch both of these movies. It's going to be good. I haven't seen it yet. I'm pretty excited. I kind of know some of the plot points, but it hasn't really been spoiled for me, so I'm going into it kind of fresh. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be good.
I'm excited.
But all right, guys, thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week. Goodbye.
Bye. I saw you skateboarding. You're pretty shit.